I am Jessey Alley. I am your Joe, and we
Yes.
got Doug Worthington here
Coach
with
Freshington,
me.
whatever you want to call me.
Yeah,
How you doing,
what's-
Mr. Alley?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. Feeling pretty good today.
I
Been
feel
a good
great.
week. Been a good week. How about yourself, man?
Hey, I'm feeling great. We're in the Groundsounds Studios on the west side.
Yes, sir.
We don't have so many trips in this moment, but
Shout out to Groundsounds
you guys
for
are
letting us
expanding,
use
man. How's it feel? How does it feel to be growing?
It feels good, man. We've been doing some good things over at Groundsounds. We've got some big things coming up.
Big things popping.
We
Just get one of
got
them TIs in the
I
background.
don't want to give too much information, but we got an exclusive event coming up November 6th. I won't tell much more. You got to go check out groundsounds.com and Groundsounds social media to see what's going on.
Okay.
All right.
Great. Okay. There we go.
All right. Well,
So we got this
3-1.
3-1. We're talking about our Buckeyes.
We're talking about the Buckeyes, of course.
This is a Buckeye podcast brought to you by Buckeye and a Buckeye.
We're
here.
Let's see. We beat Akron pretty soundly. Looked
We
pretty
did
good.
what we needed to do.
Yeah, 56-7. Defense looked a lot better. Offense looked pretty good. And, hey, I mean, Kyle McCord, man, not too bad for freshman of the week for the Big Ten.
Yeah, you know what? I think, obviously I'm just happy to get the W.
Oh, yeah.
We definitely did our job, but we did play against Akron.
We did.
With
They're not
that
a great
being
team.
said, we have to appreciate the moment. We have to appreciate what we need to build and why a game like Akron is in there. To have a Minnesota, then go to Oregon, then obviously have Tulsa. You seem like that almost that high of an off season and going into those two huge games, losing against Oregon, kind of having our sails.
Oh yeah.
The wind beneath our wings was kind of like this flat, and we did what we needed to do against the Akron, 59-7. It looked a little bit shaky. Even our quarterback that you just mentioned, he looked at real average in the beginning of the game.
He did.
Looked at someone
Two
like
incomplete passes to start the game.
Right.
Like it looked like it was going to be a bad day.
It did. But then again, I give a lot of kudos to the coaching staff, putting him in a lot more positions to be successful. I think he didn't have a pass over 5 yards for the next about 3 drives, and it went down and they were successful. So it was nice to see.
I mean, like I said, he missed the first 2 passes and then followed that up with 13-16 for 319 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Pretty solid for a true freshman.
For a true
Pretty
freshman,
solid.
on Ohio State standards, I still give him a big attaboy and say that he did play well.
It's expected. It's expected,
expected.
especially against an Akron team, like you said. It's something that we've accustomed here in Columbus. We're used to seeing our guys come out, dominate these teams, and really get ready for the big games. And I got 2 stats of the day for you
What
this
you got?
week.
Talk
I got
to
a
me
couple,
about
but I got one that I'm going to save for a little bit later. But this is going back to Kyle McCord's 85-yard pass to Emeka Egbuka.
Okay.
Tied for the 6th longest offensive play in school history.
That's
Do you know who that tied?
Do I know who that tied? I'm going to throw a wild guess out there. I'm a defensive guy.
It was 2005. I'll give you that.
2005. I'm going to say my guy Troy Smith and Ted Ginn.
So you got half of that right. It was
Okay.
Troy Smith and Santonio Holmes against Notre Dame.
Okay.
And I believe you played on that.
No. You know what? I was
Is
actually on the sideline with a cat with one of those big old braces. I tore my ACL in that actual bowl game practice. But again, I actually was in the spring game limping, so wasn't too much of nothing. But that's a good stat. That's a good stat. It showed one, which was the coolest stat I think before the game started, that this is the first time ever to have a true freshman at running back and a true freshman at quarterback.
Well said.
So the fact that we had that tandem, we'll probably see it again. Maybe.
Think of all the freshmen at Ohio State that have come through. That's never happened at the same time. That's crazy.
Right. So the quarterback, the one thing about the running back, we've had some, obviously we had the Beanie Wells when he came in. We had J.K. Dobbins played well, against Indiana. He actually had the freshman record before a guy
you got to
just came
thank Archie Griffin all the way back in the day, too.
Yeah, so we've had some freshman running backs, but to tan them up and to put them with a quarterback who is able to start, obviously it's a different situation. How many times do you actually have a young quarterback who we need to get as many reps as we can to get him ready for the Big Ten to actually just sit out over health issues? I don't know what's going on really in that whole Woody Hayes Athletic Center. We got guys like Seven Banks, who's just now playing. We had the lineman that got in the center of last year, like Haley or something.
Yes.
Harley.
I
don't know his name, but
that's too quick.
he's an older guy. We've had some injuries inside with Mumford.
Yeah, Mumford
but
going down.
He's not playing. He's not playing. So there's a lot of just different things this year when it comes down to a little bit of secrecy, So, again, I'm happy that we got the W. That's convincing.
Oh, yeah.
I want to just first shout out the group that I'm most passionate about, then that's the D-line. That's the fat boys. That's the trenches.
D-line. I mean, the D-line themselves had 8 sacks last week.
8 sacks.
I mean, your boy Haskell Garrett had 3 himself.
Right. Powerful.
I mean,
that's what we expect for a Haskell
huge.
Garrett.
That's what we've been expecting from this defensive line all year. You know, expecting them to kind of be like, hey, we're going to rush 4, and we're still going to get
there.
You know, we're going to get there. We're going to get pressure on you. Now, obviously, like we said, this is Akron that we're talking about. This is a little bit. But that's a big motivation, and just great to see for all those defensive linemen.
I mean, we've obviously the last few weeks we have not been too particularly happy with the bunch because we had so much high expectations.
Yes.
So when you tell me that they're getting 9 sacks, 8 sacks, whatever it is against Akron, I want to really like give them a lot of praise, but also just say this is what you guys are supposed to do. You guys are the creme of the creme. You guys are the Ohio State University. We're playing an in-state school. We have to dominate in that area. But my hopes, and I think Buckeye Nation at best would want this to kind of continue on. It's a little bit weird to have, I think, 7 or 6 of the sacks come from the inside when we got so much of the heavy load and the heavy stars as far as them defensive ends, those rushmen. You got, obviously, the Zach Harris. You have a freshman starting in Talua. JT actually started this game, which is amazing.
JT Tuimoloau is looking good.
Right. And you got Tyreek and Sawyer for that matter. So to have 7 of them and then 2 just on the outside, give it up for the Hogs. I was one of those in-between 20ers. I wasn't really the fastest guy, so I didn't rush, and our defense is a little bit different than it is now. But shout out to those guys on the inside causing havoc and giving them the smoke.
Big time. And, I mean, I got to shout out to Cam Martinez as well, getting the pick 6.
Right.
Had 2 pick 6s now in back-to-back weeks with Ronnie Hickman previously against Tulsa.
That's huge.
Lower-end teams, but they're big. It's good for the defense to see those types of turnovers.
Good for the morale.
Exactly. I mean, similar, like we're saying, with the defensive line. That's what we're expecting to see against these types of teams, and that's what we expect of the cream of the crop. You know, that's what we want. That's this is. I think everything that we saw from Akron. This isn't something that I'm going to dwell too much on anymore, but we saw what we needed to see. You know, everybody did their job. Kyle McCord came in. He was Big Ten Freshman of the Week. By the way, 4 weeks into the season, 4 weeks of Big Ten Ohio State freshmen being that week.
And again, that's kind of not fair.
2 C.J. Stroud, and then obviously Trayvon Henderson, and now Kyle McCord.
But listen, when you have 9 of the 10 5-star athletes on your team, I'm expecting you to get a lot of the freshman highlights.
Especially the Big Ten.
And all the accolades for that matter.
Oh, yeah.
These guys are a young bunch. I almost question you to I know this is a shorter show, but do you think like this is a class that will bring us a national championship?
Freshman class we're talking.
This freshman class.
Okay.
So in their 3 to 4 years, how many times will we get to the playoffs?
Because I mean, you got to judge a class probably about, like you said, 3 to 4 years, depending on guys that are leaving. At Ohio State, I'm probably looking at 3 years. In 3 years, this freshman class, from what I'm seeing in the first few weeks, Trayvon Henderson being dominant. I got freaking 436 yards on 46 carries. Oh, by the way, he also has 87 yards and a touchdown receiving, 6 touchdowns.
Big time.
Been
Stat
huge.
Sheet.
He's a starter. Obviously, he's taken over. Master Teague got thrown to the side. Mayan Williams, who had a really good first couple games, he got kind of pushed to the side because Henderson's been a stud.
Right. I mean, he only had 9 carries, and he had a little bit under 100 yards. He had like almost 9.2 yards per carry.
Think about that.
So he's consistent.
9 carries?
He's doing the most with the ball. So we have to
doing what
give
he
him
needs to do, and that's Ohio State football. That's what you want to see. You want to see like these running backs, these wide receivers, these talented, skilled player positions be dominant. Going over to, I haven't seen too much on the freshman side for the wide receivers, so that's kind of still up in play. You've got Marvin Harrison Jr.
Right.
Who came up. You got I guess I eat my own words as I actually said the stat earlier with Ibuka. Who was a freshman, had an 85-yard touchdown for Kyle McCord. Huge. Kyle McCord, another true freshman. I mean, you got to say C.J. Stroud, even though he technically was last year's. He's a redshirt freshman.
Young team. So how many we getting? How many getting?
I would say if we don't have one national championship within the next 3 years, this is a failure as a coaching staff. Because when you get players like this in, coaching staff needs to get it done. They need to come in and make sure that these players are getting better, that they're getting NFL ready, and that we are competing on a national level. Being 11th in the country right now,
right.
That's not Ohio State in the last few years.
And again, they backdrop from 9 to 10 to 11. So I mean, it's kind of like weird, but we can understand that they know that we got a lot easier, fluffier schedule where there's some games on there that will obviously give us that type of matchup to kind of catapult us into that top 6, top 5 when it's time to be striking distance. With that being said, not getting off the topic, before we get into the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers.
Yes.
Did you see that now? I don't know. We got a shooting forward, but we have the number 2 recruiting class for basketball.
I have not. This is news.
Yeah,
I did not see
have
this.
The
I know we were up
basketball.
there, but number 2 at Ohio State in basketball.
That's powerful.
When has that happened?
Listen, that's the city of Columbus, man. That's like marketing. That's like understanding what's the
Hey, shout out to Holtman. Shout out to Chris
Holtman,
the head coach. When he came in from Butler, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of questioned the hire.
Right,
he's a Butler head coach. He took, and I'm not questioning anymore how well he's done. And now to tell me that he's got the number 2 recruiting class in the nation.
In the nation.
This isn't like the Big Ten
right
now.
Not just the Big Ten, because that's even good for
That's going
the
against the Dukes. That's going against North Carolinas.
That's going against the team up north. And
the team up north
who
is supposed to be better than us.
Yeah,
right now.
well said.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Bodies.
It's great news just for Ohio State football and basketball to really just see, and honestly, you know what? I'm not. Maybe a couple shockers this year and stick it to that team up north. Which
listen. That's the name of the game.
That's the goal.
Getting back to this football track, we have a Big Ten. We're actually going away to New Jersey, which is the reason why we wanted to get the Rutgers into the conference, just to have that media out in that New York and that
East
New
Coast,
Jersey
that
area.
New York, New Jersey area. Yep.
Listen, it is 52,000 capacity. That is literally half of the horseshoe.
I don't even think that's half.
No, I mean, we have like 104 and like 700, so you're right. It's a little bit actually under. What brand of ball do you need to see from the Buckeyes this Saturday to actually keep this momentum going off of Akron?
So, I just want to say Rutgers is 3-1.
Solid.
Rutgers has Noah Verdell, a transfer from Nebraska over to Rutgers, starting quarterback. Completing 68% of his passes. I think we just said this not too long ago, but he is the captain of the team, looking good.
Right.
We obviously know the head coach, Greg Schiano, former defensive coordinator. I kind of brought it up before the show a little bit with you, like it's kind of a big deal looking at our defense right now. Now, obviously, I think with going into this game, going back to the question you asked me, if they play like they did last week, C.J. Stroud is supposed to play back. Is supposed to be expected to be back.
Right?
So if he's in there with McCourt being the backup, I'm okay with that after a game last week. I'd be fine putting him in there. I expect the offense to keep doing its thing. I want to see him run the ball. I mean, Trayvon Henderson's averaging 9.6 yards per carry.
Right.
I mean, he's a first down machine.
Numbers.
Like, give the man the ball. And then I'd love to see if C.J. Stroud plays, I just want to see how he looks after having that rest. We saw those first couple weeks. We didn't really know he had the shoulder injury. How does he respond coming back after Kyle McCord just had a really good week?
A solid week.
You know?
Right.
And I think we talked about this a lot at the Minnesota game. He has a lot to prove on top of having, a 5-star freshman in Kyle McCord, another 4-star in Jack Miller III, and, of course, you can't forget Quinn Ewers, who's got the $1.4 million, which everybody knows.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess I expect kind of an improvement, but this is also a little stick it to Michigan up north, the team up north they beat them 20-13 last week.
A good game.
In Rutgers. Great game. It was 20-3 at half, though.
Yeah, 23.
They didn't score a point.
Right, okay.
In the second half.
Okay, I like that.
So Rutgers got a good defense.
Right.
They got a pretty solid defense. I mean,
what's the linebacker? The linebacker's the best guy.
The linebacker, oh my God.
It's like Troy Tamoyo Lloyd. He's a island guy. He has an island name. Sorry, I don't want to butcher it. But he's leading in tackles. He's leading in assisted tackles. He's leading in tackles for loss and sacks.
Oh yeah.
Just by a few. So he's going to show up. He's probably, when you see him, he's their NFL guy. I'm not saying that Rutgers only have one, but he's one of those guys that stands out. And again, I think, playing at home, Greg Schiano is a master at getting his teams riled up, being there in the fight. And like you said, they had a second half and the momentum to be they were in the big shoe and play the way they play. So Ohio State, don't get me wrong, Ohio State is not off the hook by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
But when you put trenches to trenches and when you put X's and O's, our talent is a lot better. But this is a gritty team, and Greg Schiano is at home, so I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. I think, honestly, we'll get into our scores towards the end of the game and our predictions. But I really want to see C.J. Stroud come out, and I want to see him dominate. I want to see this arm, what we were told over the summer. I want to see him be able to move the ball down to Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave like no problem.
Yeah.
Be able to throw it down to Trayvon Henderson and let Trayvon Henderson go, man. Let him run. Let that man be the motor of the team. Like, that man gets a quick 70, like, I'm not saying he's going to get 70 plus, but like 70, 60, 50 plus yard run. Yeah. That's going to get you going.
That's going to
get your offense like, all right, let's go. Let's get this.
And the thing about it, it does wonders for a young quarterback, right?
Huge.
To be able to take one of those players out of the box. Rutgers is known to keep a strong 7 front. They are, like you said, a very good defense. They held Michigan to, no points in the second half?
And no points in the second half.
So at the end of the day, it's like I like what I'm going to get after a matchup like Akron.
Yes.
I like the fact that Stroud has a little bit of fire on his tail just because you have these other guys that's chomping at the bit, that's actually going in there and not really over here pushing the needle that they have to play them. But they're letting you know that they're formidable, and there's a reason why Ohio State recruited them.
Yeah.
Who I say that I want to see, and it was a guy that we expected and had him on the same level as like the D-line, and rightfully so, a guy, Chris Olave, right? Again, he's seeing the best cornerback day in and day out. Teams are actually scheming up against him. And you've seen guys like Najigba, who's actually been able to get a lot of one-on-one coverage and being able to do a lot with it. But I want to see Chris Olave be able to realize his moment, realize that he's in a market. Teams like New York, teams like the Jets will be able to pick him up late, middle of the first round, maybe even early first round. These are showcases for kids like him that deserve it and that has all the ability up there. I'm excited for a guy, Brian Hartline, and one of his guys, one of his older and veteran guys to go out there and be consistent and be balling in this game on Saturday.
Yeah, and I think going off the Chris Olave, I think that's great points. Great points you brought up because especially after having the drop against Tulsa a couple weeks ago, that's still on his mind.
What's that?
That's still thinking about it. I mean, everybody's bringing that up. I mean, I'm still hearing that just a little bit. I'm not.
We just want just like the D line. We just want so much from these guys because they're able, and they showed us. I mean, when Chris Olave was wearing number 17 and he was just snagging balls in the back of the end zone against the team up north, we were like, who is this Olave?
Yeah, we're like, who is this man?
Like, I mean, 2 touchdowns as a freshman. It's like he's had one of them long. Like, how are you still there? When he changed his number to number 2, and I realized that he was only a junior, and then he actually came back when he didn't need to. Yeah. That's why not only do I feel like he's going to have a better and a great, really second, third half of the season, but he's going to put himself and separate himself against those other wide receivers. Now, again, teams might put the kitchen sink to him and just say no about Olave, and that's why guys like Garrett Wilson, Najigba, and the plethora of wide receivers will be successful. But, a guy like me who see a lot of players that are even less talented than him leave for opportunities that he stayed to try to win a national championship his way, I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, and I think when we lost to Oregon, we talked about it. It was rough. It sucks.
Yeah.
But we pointed back to the 2014 team.
Yeah.
Well, they lost to Virginia Tech in that second week. Another young team. We really thought that 2015 year was going to be that year, and that 2014 ride was thrill. It was huge. It was great. Yep. And I think what we're starting to see is like that turnaround. This is that young team, and you're going to have growing pains. Like you had to know coming into this year that C.J. Stroud or whoever the starting quarterback was going to be was going to have growing pains. There was going to be kind of some time that we needed to get it going.
You would hope so.
Yeah. Now we're starting to see it put together. I hope we can kind of have those final of kind of everything clicks this weekend. Having C.J. Stroud in, we know who our starting running backs are going to be. Seeing the defense start to actually show up, stop the run, stop the pass, have some turnover, have some fun plays, some sacks, some pick sixes, some stuff like that.
One of the biggest things that I like to shout out is after that Oregon game, and we know we were obviously on the players. We obviously, I think I still was impressed with C.J. Stroud because that was, again, Akron compared to Oregon. He still, when we needed
points. He had a great game. He still had a great game.
But when it came down to it, the biggest thing that I've seen for the last few weeks is the play calling of Matt Barnes, right? He's a guy from Maryland who we're going to see in a week. But he has been able to put these guys into a lot of great positions to be successful.
Yes.
He's been able to rush with four, play some exotic blitzes when he needs to. But just the way that he's been able to get those young guys to play. They started 4 freshmen last week. And obviously, I don't, with JT being the guy in the trenches, and I believe it's the cornerback, 29, who's been Burke.
Denzel Burke. So you got Denzel Burke, like Henderson, McCord, and JT.
Yeah, like the fact of the matter is to have those guys play at a level that they're playing at, and to be able to understand that these guys are only getting better, and Barnes has been putting them in that position. I'm really excited to maybe even take. It's kind of hard for the Akron to do better than that, but I mean, why not a shutout up in Rutgers and just really give our defense a huge turning point where they actually can be that silver bullets that we expected them to be, the rushmen, everybody getting behind themselves and make that final playoff push because they got to look sexy to get that vote and get that nod.
You're so right. You're looking in the right directions of where you got to look good for the playoff committee. You got to look good for that type of stuff, especially with the one loss already. You got to think all the teams that are ahead of us. I think there's only one team that has a loss in front of us.
Yeah, that's big.
And that's Florida. So there's 10 other teams. Bama's undefeated. Everybody's undefeated.
Everybody's
undefeated. And I want to ask you this because I kind of want to get your mind on it. How do you feel going into this week? Say we dominate. It's maybe not as a shutout, but it's a dominant win. You look at this game, and would this be a motivator to kind of go in on top of maybe a little sweetness to go, hey, Michigan, you lost to Rutgers by 7. We just beat them by 50.
Right. Right.
Like something that just says, hey, you guys put us at 11.
Yeah.
We're upset. Look where we're at now.
Listen, when it comes down to the whole scheme and the whole way that these coaches look at the whole board, when you have foes that you both play, you definitely want to make sure that you are able to put stuff on tape to let them know that you are superior. Yep. There's kids Michigan still has a couple 5- and 4-star players that we would love to pluck in the last second when it comes down to recruiting.
Oh, yeah.
And when you do stuff and you put things on film and you show the dominance, you show the difference, it transcends the rest of the season. Everybody is going to be able to see that 3:30 game, either the beginning or the end of seeing how Ohio State fares against a Rutgers, like you said, that is 3-1. Now, they played Delaware. They played a Syracuse that's not so good.
That's really the best team they've played with Syracuse.
And they beat somebody else but, at the end of the day.
Temple was the team. And they stomped those teams, yeah.
So, at the end of the day, Rutgers have done what they're supposed to do. Obviously, I would have loved to got that Oregon game back. But we are heading into a stretch for Ohio State and for anybody, for that matter, who's in that top 10, top 15, peeking in, that you have to put your best foot forward. And this showcase is not only for the team up north and other Big Ten teams to kind of worry out, but it's for that playoff committee to know that we're serious and that we're back on track to try to get it.
And I think the other thing to go with on, like you said, kind of with the schedule and everything going forward, the Big Ten is not weak this year.
No.
The Big Ten has some teams. Like, there are 5 ranked teams in the top 25.
That's huge.
4 of them are in the top 14.
That's huge.
2 are in the top 5.
Yes.
And Ohio State's at 11. Think about that. Think about that. Yeah. Ohio State's at 11. Coming into the season, this is going into week 5. Would you believe me that week 1 that Ohio State would be the 3rd highest ranked Big Ten
Not
team?
at all. Not at all.
So I look at this is where I think we brought it up before in previous shows to say that, look, the next few weeks we have Rutgers. We have Maryland. Maryland's they're undefeated right now.
That's nice.
They're going against Iowa, who's number 5, so I don't think that's going to last.
Right.
But that could be a little bit more of a surprise, and I think Maryland's not getting as much respect as they deserve.
But it's homecoming. We better be.
Exactly.
Know what you do.
It is. It's
homecoming.
I'm not expecting Ohio State to do anything different, but I just want to see them now start to get those building blocks. You saw the Akron game where you had a big win, where you're supposed to win. Right. You're supposed to have these big plays. You're supposed to have these huge statistical games. Well, they did that.
They did that.
Now build on it. Have it
Build
two
on
in a row. Have
Right.
that big game against a Big Ten opponent now. Then you're going to be like, okay, we just had 2 wins in a row. Start to stack them on top of each other. But you also got to look into, we've got Penn State in 3 games.
Yeah.
They're number 4 right now.
We know it.
That's huge if they're undefeated then. You also got Michigan State, who's 17th right now.
That's big time. Who's
They're undefeated.
Mel Tucker, shout out.
Mel Tucker shot.
Yeah.
I just want to say, now Miami got upset last night by Virginia 30-28.
I hate when that happens.
But
Hold it down.
huge win for Michigan State to beat Miami at 24.
Oh, that was huge.
To be
And
undefeated.
Miami.
Shout out to Mel Tucker.
Yeah, shout out to
Super
Mel Tucker.
excited about that. So
He's a Buckeye. He's a
that
Buckeye.
could be another ranked match. I hate to say it, but the team up north's number 14.
Yeah.
All right. So as much as we want to dominate, I'll take them being ranked for when we go and smack them up.
110%.
You know, always take that. So right there, what's that? That's 3 ranked opponents before the Big Ten championship.
Well said.
That's huge for Ohio State. This is why I keep looking at that Oregon game, and I think it happened at a good time. You'd never want to have a loss, but
Right.
it happened at a good time.
Well said.
What do you think with going forward with this Rutgers team, Maryland, and so on and so forth? What do you think they need to happen?
Well, you played it out so perfectly. It's just the fact that the opportunity will be there.
Yeah.
To be on the big stage, it's the Ohio State University.
Yes,
Either
sir.
you love us or you hate us, and either you realize that we're going to be off in the playoff, or we're going to be knocking on the door. So I am just very interested in how the season will unfold. You got you got Notre Dame versus Cincinnati. You got a lot of enter that top 10 playing each other.
Georgia, Arkansas is
Georgia,
playing this
so
weekend.
There's so many other great, ways that it can unfold out. And, I mean, I lost against Illinois in the last 3 games of the season, and we end up kind of squeaking back into we end up going to the national championship against LSU. So Ohio State is in the driver's seat. I don't see us slipping more. I feel like we're going to keep riding a wave that we kind of brung in with Akron. We have 2 games to really give us some cushion to really figure out who we are until we have that big game against Penn State.
3.
So
three games.
I'm excited. I'm excited for it.
Yeah,
it's gonna be good.
I think Ohio State's in a great spot right now. As much as there are still things that need to be tweaked, we're on a climb right now. We've just beat Akron. We said huge game. We're on a 2-game win streak right now. I mean, that's not much saying right now. Everybody wishes Ohio State's undefeated right now. Still at that number 3 spot, potentially a number 2 spot. Well, probably not with Georgia, but you don't know. You don't know. These are hypotheticals. As an Ohio State fan, you're looking ahead. You're looking at what's to come. Right now, that's Rutgers. I'd love to see them drop 40-plus points on.
Okay, so here we go. I do want
to say this before we get into our predictions real quick. So
Talk to me.
This is my last stat of the day.
Let's do it.
This is huge. So Ohio State is first in the nation.
Okay.
In one offensive category.
Wow.
On the play or average yard per play, they are first in the nation with 8.6 yards per play. Second in the nation is Coastal Carolina, and I believe Western Michigan is third. I could be wrong on that third one, but I do know those first 2 stocks. So, with that being said, it's pretty good.
That's awesome.
Right?
That's
Just think about all this offensive inconsistency, all this stuff that we keep putting on the blame and being like, this offense sucks, this offense isn't doing what it needs to do.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty good. Now, how about
on
total
average.
offense? How about we go to total offense? Where do you think they're ranked in the nation?
I would say we're number 1 as far as that's yards per game. I would say probably at least top 10. I would say probably 8.
Second. Second in the nation with 559.2 yards per game.
That's right on track.
So, 3-1. I'm not mad.
Not mad.
The more you dive into this Ohio State team, the more you start to realize we're okay. Ryan Day is doing what he needs to do. It's that reload method now.
There we go.
We're starting to reload and start to
He's
get
putting
back
the fire
into where
in
we
those
are.
guys' bellies too.
Hey, go I'm getting chills right now thinking about it, man. Let's go. I want to see this defense smack Rutgers. I want to see this offense move up and down the field, no problem. I want to see Henderson getting 100+ yards. So, with all that being said, now I'm getting a little hyped. What is your big thing? Who's the player to watch for this weekend and your score?
So, player to watch, I'm going to stick it to the offensive side of the ball.
Okay.
It's easy to obviously talk about the guys in the trenches.
Yep.
I am going to go with good old Chris Olave. Talked about him earlier.
Yep.
Don't want to say too much about the relationship, but he's just a guy that I feel is breaking and bearing a huge game on that platform. Guys know when it comes down to this NIL, who's watching. And even though it's only 52,000 seats in the stands, there's still going to be 800,000 in that area watching that game because they're around the corner from it. So I think Olave is going to have a great game. I think Shroud is going to get back in there and be able to, claim his dominance and go against a lesser foe. And we understand what that rest would do for a young kid, even them such, even a rest mentally, not having to be the person that's on the X and O's and X on the boards talking about why he did this read and did that read. So I'm looking for a big game for the offense. Far as my score prediction, I'm going to be modest with it. I'm going to say Ohio State 49, and I'm going to say Rutgers, even though I said it's possible shutout, I'm going to say 10. 49 to 10, 39 on the spread.
Okay.
What you got?
That beats the line, which is 15 right now.
The line is only 15.
It's only 15,
wow.
And the over/under is 59 over total.
Really?
So
that's over just off of one.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So this will be pretty big.
Put the
this
odds.
will be pretty big, yeah. For myself, I personally think probably the biggest point of concern right now for this weekend in particular, I want to see the defense have that dominant performance against a Big Ten opponent.
Okay.
For my guy that I think he's gonna have a really big game. It was hard. All right, I had two guys I was looking at. I was looking at Cam Mitchell.
Okay.
Just had that big, Cam Martinez just had that big interception, that pick six. That's big time. That is. But I gotta go with the true freshman. Okay. I gotta go with Denzel Burke.
There you go.
The dude has been. When everybody's been looking at this defense and thinking there's a lot of holes, there's a lot of stuff.
He's been consistent.
He's been the one guy that's consistent.
Well said.
He's in the top 10 in passes deflected. The man is a shut-down corner. He's a true freshman.
He's confident.
True freshman. Looking confident, looking good. I'm expecting a big game out of him.
So what we got points-wise?
All right. So I'm not going to go probably as big as that spread because I think their defense is a little bit better. I don't think their defense is going to stop it. I'm sorry, Greg Schiano. I love you, man. You did some good stuff for Ohio State, but I'm going to say that we put up that it's going to be probably about 42 points for Ohio State, and then I'm going to have 21.
Okay.
21. So we still beat the spread at 21 compared to the 15, and obviously we're over the over/under.
I like it. I mean, we only a touchdown off. We close.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a close game. I think we're starting to figure this team out a little
bit.
We are. We've had some good calls. Big thing about this weekend, I'm excited is there's some huge opportunity for some big college football games.
It has to be.
A lot of opportunity for Ohio State to move up.
Get back in the top 10, please.
Yeah, and I guess probably my last thing, man. What are you most excited about for the weekend?
I'm actually going to the Moose. It's around some lake, and we're going to do a tailgate for the game.
Nice.
So we're going to be around 132.
Okay.
If you know what the Moose is, you can check me out. I have BB Landers up there.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be Brian. Not Brian Browning. I'm sorry. He was supposed to come. Big Marcus Hall, Melvin Fellows, and Solomon Thomas. So a bunch of D linemen is going to accompany me to the Moose.
Sounds
and
like
Marcus Hall is the old lineman, but he got a D lineman personality. So
there you go.
I'm excited for just to watch the game on Saturday, man, and just relax and chill out. What about yourself? What you got going on?
So I'm actually gonna be working during the whole game. So I'm a little upset. I'm trying to get some little bit of side stuff going on.
You deserve it, man.
But I am gonna watch the game afterwards. I'm not gonna DVR it. I go to YouTube usually and just replay it.
Cool. That's the best.
So I'm gonna try to get a little bit of Bic, but I'm hoping that I check my phone here and there, and I keep seeing Ohio State score.
Oh yeah, we're gonna run it up.
It's gonna be good, man. I'm gonna get some time out. I gotta go hit up my buddies. Shout out to my boys down in Pickerington. I know a couple of you guys are watching. I'm trying to get down there tomorrow night.
You better get down there.
Yeah, I mean, I got to now. It's on tape. It's on
tape.
Yeah.
Shout them out, Pickerson.
But hey, man, that's all for me, man. I'm excited. Sounds like we got some good weekends coming up.
Yeah, we got some good weekends, man. Some good Ohio State football. We will win. That's almost a guarantee.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna say it out there. And again, just to have college football is to have some normalcy. We don't have any masks. We are distanced. It's about 6 feet. You can't even tell. But it's just good to have it, man, and I'm blessed to be here, and I appreciate you and Groundsounds. Shout out to John over there on the boards.
Yeah, shout out to John on the board. Shout out to Groundsounds. Thank you so much for the studio space time, and guys, go Bucks.
That's a wrap.
Stay
Pro
blessed.
and the Joe podcast.
Pro and the Joe.
Blessings. We'll see you next week.